Welcome back to Fab Automotive Detailing. You guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to change out the grease in your dual action polisher. This is pretty much universal for most dual action polishers. It's going to help you get longevity out of your machine. It's going to help your machine run smoother on the paint. And I'm pretty sure when I do it, my ear thinks the machine is quieter than it was before. But in this video, we're actually going to find out. I got a decibel meter. We're going to test it before, test it after. I'm going to show you guys how to repack the grease and all that good stuff and everything you're going to need. It's super simple. So stay tuned and let's do it. All right, so not a lot of stuff is needed to do this. Obviously, you need your polisher. And then you're gonna need Allen's, I believe it's a 6mm, so an Allen wrench, a couple gloves, a number 2 Phillips, a number 1 flathead. You're gonna need a good set of paper towels. You're gonna need several towels to just get the old grease out. You need a good multi-purpose grease. I'd recommend Amsoil, obviously, because I am a dealer, plus I love their products. This is product code GLCCR. I use this in all of my ball joints, tie rod ends, my spindles, my lawnmowers, anything that needs greased, that's what it gets. It's a red grease. It's a very, very good grease. And I'll put a link in the description. You guys can go to my Amsoil website. Once you click on the website, you can click anywhere on there. It's going to take you to the Amsoil main website. And then from there, you can go and you can purchase that if you want to. You don't have to have a grease gun. This grease gun, this Ryobi grease gun is fantastic. It's electric. I love it. You can actually just take the top off if you want and scoop it. But to me, it's just easier to kind of shoot it in there with the end of the grease gun. So let's check the decibel reading on this polisher. So this is a decibel meter, you guys, I got off Amazon. It wasn't real expensive, so it's not extremely accurate, but it's gonna get us kind of close enough. Let's check the ambient noise without me talking or anything and just see what the actual noise is in the garage. Okay, so I'd say you kept going to 33.1 to 34. I would say it's probably around, let's just say 32 decibels in the garage without any noise. Let's turn the machine on, run it through a couple speeds from speed 1, which is low, all the way to high and see what it does. So I need to be able to see the screen to see what the decibel readings are so I can kind of say it over the video and I can see what's going on. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stand by the decibel meter but put my arm fully extended, speed 1, 3, and 5. We'll see what the difference is in the noise. Between the three, we'll take it apart, re-grease it, come back and redo it and see if it got any quieter. So let's check it out. So this will be speed 1, arm fully extended. So we'll say about 71 decibels. Let's go to 3. $76. Let's go to 6. $84. All right, you guys, so we are ready to go. Like I said, this is really simple to do. Anybody can do this at home. We are going to remove the backing plate, and then we're going to remove the counterweight, and then we're going to remove the cover, which is by taking these out, which I'll show you guys. It's super simple. All you got to do is hold the pad, the backing plate, put your tool in and turn. They're usually not all that tight. And do not lock tight this back. You do not want to do that. And then if you have a washer, like this one has a washer right there, I go ahead and I just put it right back into the backing plate. And I'm just going to set that aside. One thing I do want to mention really quick, one other thing you are going to need is like Q-tips or something like that to get the grease out. Okay, so this is the counterweight. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You can actually leave the counterweight on. You can take your screwdriver, go down, and you can get all those little screws out, as you guys can see right there. You can do that, or you can just go ahead and take the counterweight off. That way, when the counterweight's off, you can pull the shroud off in separate pieces from the actual gear itself. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and remove the counterweight on this, and these can be pretty tight. These you do want to put like a blue thread lock. Ooh, where am I at camera-wise? Like a blue thread locker back on, which we will, because you got to remember this is spinning. Yeah, these can be tight. So sometimes you can't actually do this. You can't take the weight off sometimes. Just depends on the machine. And I've never serviced this, so I doubt it has any grease in it. Usually These polishers normally don't have much grease in them at all, if any. So that is your counterweight right there. So now you can see we have full access to these screws back here. I'm going to take these off. And I hope I don't forget to tell you, but there's no reason to go all He-Man when you put these back in. If you can't get that counterweight off, I should have showed you. You have that hole, right? But you also don't have to have that. You can actually just move the polisher to get to the bolt you need to get to, like I'm going to do right here to get to that one. I'll move it to get to that one. And these are just going, they're going in the metal, you guys, but these should be a very fine thread. And by doing that, we can take the whole shroud off. Let me show you guys the thread on these. And you don't need to put Loctite on these when you put them back in. Hopefully I can show you guys how fine the thread is. Come on, iPhone. Yeah, can't really show you, but it's very fine thread. So you don't want to go all crazy. Now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and remove these plastic, I don't think you'd call them bolts. I don't think. See if I can get this thing to focus back in on what we're doing. Once you get it started, you can usually take them out by hand. I'm going to set those aside. We're going to set this one aside. Okay, now this whole shroud should come off. Let's see. All manufacturers are different. Sometimes you can pull them. This one you cannot. Looks like I'm going to have to pry up a little bit. There we go. I don't use this polisher much anymore, but I do like it. It just seems to stall pretty easy no matter what you do. Okay, so now that we have the nose off, now, as you can see, this moves around. You cannot put this on backwards, at least you shouldn't be able to. Now this should just slide, okay, yeah. As you guys can see, the ring gear, which is what this is, the ring gear, not much grease on the ring gear. Go to a different camera. Nothing. I mean, not very much at all. In fact, this kind of looks like there's metal put on this rag. But there might be, there is. I think there's some metal inside there. Okay, so that is going to be the ring gear. We'll wipe that down here in just a little bit. There's no need to take the snap ring off to take it apart. We're not doing that. All we're worried about is greasing it. Okay, now inside of here is where all the grease is. It's actually more than I thought there would be. But look at that. That is definitely some metal for sure. So the best way to do this is get what you can with your gloves first. Gonna make your job a lot easier. So this would be, so you have to think about this like a rear end on a car. So this is gonna be your pinion gear, right? And they basically, it works just like a rear end on a car. This is your ring gear, this is your pinion gear. They work just like a rear end on a vehicle. Yeah, so you can see it's not using much of this grease. Only the dirty grease is the grease that's probably getting used. Okay, so that's where these come in handy. Get in here, and we don't have to get all this grease out. Just want to get the majority of it out. Just chunks and chunks and chunks until it's all out. There's going to be some grease behind the pinion, but you can usually stick this in and get it out, usually. That does bother me though, seeing all that, what appears to be like metal, I would guess we've metal shavings, and you're, like I said, you're not going to get it all out. Now this is a bearing down here that this sits in. So we definitely want to make sure if you got any grease down in there, which I know I just blocked your guys' view, try to get in there and get that grease out. And then make sure you get good grease in there when you put it back together. We are just about done here. Okay, so we're just going to throw this away really quick. Then we're going to take a napkin the best we can by hand and try to get the remainder out that's in here. Like I said, you're not going to get it all out without taking it completely apart, using like brake clean or something. I'm not going through all that. This is what I do on every one of them, and I've never had a problem. Okay, we're not ready to grease just yet. I got ahead of myself. We still got to clean this right here. So we can take more of the Q-tips, and I'm telling you right now, that is not good news. You want your grease, no matter what your grease is in, whether it's a car, motorcycle, polisher, lawnmower. In reality, you want it to be clean all the time. If you start seeing it dark like that, especially around a bearing or something, you kind of know you have an issue. So this may not be a good thing, but all right, we're just going to kind of wipe this down the rest of the way. Not too crazy because there's nothing else behind it. So as long as you get it somewhat clean like that, then you're good to go. That bearing feels good. So it's probably the bearing on the actual machine itself. Okay, so we are almost finished. Now it's time to put some grease in it. This is the easy part. I need to wipe my gloves off. My old boss, where I was a mechanic at for a long time, when he taught me how to, work on cars and grease stuff, and he'd always say, "There's no such thing as too much grease." In this situation, there actually is. You don't want to put a ton in, but you definitely want to fill it up. So what I like to do, I concentrate on the pinion first. Okay, and then the bearing, just to make sure I get some grease in there, and then okay. And this is another reason why you wear gloves. I like to push it down in there because grease is going to have air pockets. And now I put it around the outside edge. Okay, so that's that. And then on the ring gear, I do the same thing. I just try to put it right on the actual teeth of the gear. Okay, that's enough. Hopefully I got that on video. Every machine that I've ever done this to, it definitely makes a difference as far as performance is concerned. This Amsoil grease is going to save you. It's going to save your gear. It's going to save your bearings. And there's really no method other than try getting all the teeth. And I like to get it around right there because that's going to be going down into the bearing itself. And we are ready to put it back in. Quick and easy. I mean, you can, once you've done this a few times, 20 minutes you're done, if that. So all you do is put it back in like so. Make sure that's all the way down. You see how that snapped? Here, I'll do it again. Make sure you are all the way down right there. You don't have to worry about lining your holes up just yet because right now, see, I got a little bit too much on this. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to take my gloves off because I'm not touching the grease anymore and I don't want to get grease all over the parts I'm putting back on. So we're going to push this back on, let it snap in place, and we're going to go ahead and put these back in. Okay, these do not go in really tight. Just snug because they're plastic. Okay, here's that. Make sure your holes are lined back up. And then we're just going to put the shroud back on. Line it up and it should sit down in there. A lot of times the shrouds can only go on one way. Obviously not that way. There we go. It just sucked down in there. Okay. And put our Screws back in the shroud, and these snap on, because I was a professional mechanic, you guys, that's the only reason I have these. These are magnetic on the end, so I should be able to do this, yep, pretty easy without dropping them. And like I always tell my son, don't tighten any of them down until they're all started. Just another thing you learn as a mechanic. I can tell you that gear feels way, way better. They're all in. One. And then you don't do a circle, you just kind of exit. Because it is tightening everything down. Everything that's holding the bearings in, holding the gears in. Okay, and that feels way better already, I can tell you that. Okay, so on this, on the counterbalance, we want to put a thread lock on it. So let me go grab some thread lock. Okay, so I wire brushed these the best that I could, and I know you can still see the blue, but it's off the best that I could do it. They're very small, so they're very hard to wire brush. You guys, I get this off of Amazon. It comes with red and blue. This stuff is so good, and it's like $10, I think, for both, which is an absolute steal. Now, you're gonna get it on your table, but all you need is just a dot. I do it right on my bench. That's why it's a lot easier. Oops, I get it on that one. There we go. Okay. This is the hardest part because you got to be able to hold the counterweight. And it does sit in just one spot, so you really can't mess it up. Put the center one in first. Do not tighten all the way down. Did you guys know I was going to say that? If you were listening earlier, you probably know. And you're going to get the thread lock on your fingers. Ain't much you can do about that. So we're going to start from the inside and then go out. And we're not going to go all He-Man on it. Because once this stuff dries after about 24 hours, they're not going to come out until you make them come out again. But that's why, ooh, I slipped on that one. That's why they're kind of hard to get out originally. These freaking screws are junk. Okay, those are in, they're tight. Okay, so for the last step, I do have the washer mod in mind. So that way, if you don't have the washer mod in it, the backing plate is going to touch right here and it's going to slow it down. You can see it can only go on one way. There's flats, just like there's flats on this. This, stay right here. Your bolt should always have a locking washer on it. That's why you don't put Loctite on it. Okay, the backside also has, as you can see, the flats. In fact, I need to take the bolt out. It's the easiest way that I've found to do it. Try line the flats up. Yep, right there. Bam. And then you're going to put your bolt back in. These threads are kind of fine also. So you don't want to, once again, you don't want to go all He-Man on it and be a He-Man woman hater. Okay, so that right there, it's not tight, but it made contact. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to hold this really tight, and I'm going to turn it right there. That's about it. That's all you need, and we are done. Let's see if it's any quieter. All right, you guys, so I am excited to do this because I've always thought that it has to make it quieter. Always, to me, it felt like it was quieter. It seemed like it's quieter. And it's also another one of those things where when you think something's going to happen, you kind of trick your brain, and you make your brain think that it did happen. Like when you buy a product that somebody online says is great, well, you automatically think it's great. So when you use it, you think it's great. It's not always that way. Same thing with stuff like this. So I've always assumed it makes it quieter, but I've never tested it. So we're going to find out right now. So I wrote these down. So speed 1 was 71 decibels. So we're going to start with that one first. Okay, speed 1, arm extended. And here we go. Nope, it's about the exact same. Let's go to speed 3. Speed 3 before was 76. Didn't change that. It's smoother, I can tell you by holding it. Speed 6 was 84 before. So something I've believed for as long as I've been doing this, that it makes it quieter. It does not. All right, so my own video debunked something that I've been telling people for a long time. So if you've ever taken my advice and you repacked your polisher grease because Brian said it was going to make it smoother and quieter, it makes it smoother. I could tell by holding my arm straight out, it was way smoother. And I knew by turning it was going to be, but it does not remove the noise. That's just something that I made my mind think for whatever reason. And I made my mind believe that the new grease would make it quieter. It definitely did not make it any quieter. In fact, it may have went up a decibel by looking at it, but that's a cheap gauge, so can't really go off of that. But as you guys saw, super simple, extremely simple to do. Anybody can do it at home. Allen wrench, a Phillips head, a flathead. You guys, I buy these swabs from Harbor Freight for like $7. It comes all kinds of different sizes. It's great for detailing, great for around the house. Those are really, really good. And that's what I use in the video. And then my Amsoil multi-purpose grease. I love this stuff when it comes to polishers or wheel bearings, whatever I use it in, because another thing is it's a high temperature grease. So it's not going to break down when this thing's getting used for hours and hours and hours and that grease gets really hot. It's not going to break down like a lot of other greases do. So that's why another reason that I love it. But super simple to do. You can do it at home. It's a maintenance thing you should be doing on your polisher. I like to do it as soon as I get a polisher. That way I know it's done. It's got good grease in it, because as you guys saw, there wasn't a lot of grease in it. The gear was not covered in grease. It barely had any grease at all. And that right there, metal to metal contact with the pinion gear, with the ring gear and pinion gear, metal metal contact with not a lot of grease between it, it's gonna wear. And that could be why the discoloration was in there also. So I know that this machine is good to go now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you found it helpful. If you found it helpful, that means somebody else probably will. Hit that share button, share it. And may help somebody else that's been wanting to do something like this to their polishers for a long time. And if you liked it though, don't forget, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. That gets it out in the YouTube algorithm and gets my videos out there. And I will leave links in the description on the video where you can find like the Loctite or the grease or anything else that I use. Like I put my camera tripods, I put all kinds of stuff in the description of the video where you guys can find the stuff that I use. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button, join the Fab family. We'd love to have you. We'll see you in the next video.